The bright morning lights of the view flooded the stage, bouncing off the polished coffee table and the vibrant backdrop emblazoned with the show's logo. The audience murmured with excitement as cameras rolled into place, stagehands made last-minute adjustments, and Joy Behar cracked a joke under her breath that drew a cackle from Whoopi Goldberg. The energy was as chaotic as it was electric, another live show, another morning full of opinions, debates, and unfiltered laughter. At the center of it all sat Danny DeVito, the Hollywood icon whose face was instantly recognizable from decades of film and television. He was shorter than everyone else at the table, but his presence filled the studio. Dressed in his trademark black shirt and mischievous grin, he was there to promote his new movie, a dark comedy about redemption, greed, and, as he put it, the delightful stupidity of being human. The audience had already cheered wildly when he walked out. Everyone loved Danny. "Ladies and gentlemen," Whoopi began, her voice smooth and commanding, "we have a true legend in the house today. You know him from Taxi, Matilda, Batman Returns, and so many others. Please welcome the one and only Danny DeVito." The audience erupted into applause. Danny stood up just enough to give an exaggerated bow, playing to the crowd with comic grace. Thank you, sit down before you strain something, I'm not worth it," he quipped, and the laughter rippled through the audience again. He slid back into his seat, comfortable, confident, and ready to charm. "Danny," Whoopi continued, "you've done it all, actor, director, producer, cult hero, meme king. How do you keep finding new ways to surprise people after all these years?" Danny chuckled. "You know, I just keep showing up. That's the secret. People forget to stop inviting me, and I keep taking advantage." The panel laughed, the kind of easy laughter that makes TV magic. Sonny Hostin leaned forward. "Your new film's getting incredible buzz. It's funny but also dark. It kind of holds a mirror up to human nature, doesn't it?" Danny nodded, his hands gesturing animatedly. "Yeah, I think so. It's about how everyone's a little selfish, a little broken. It's satire, but it's got heart. Kind of like me." That drew another round of laughter and applause. Danny had them in the palm of his hand. Everything was running smoothly, until Joy Behar decided to do what Joy Behar does best, stir the pot. "So, Danny," she said, leaning forward with a mischievous grin, "you've made a career out of playing these morally questionable guys, sleazy, funny, kind of gross but lovable. I mean, you're practically the poster child for Hollywood's underdog." Danny smiled. "That's one way to put it. I like the misfits, the schemers. They're fun." "Sure," Joy continued, her tone teasing but with that edge that sometimes cut deeper than she meant. "But do you think people love you because you're not, you know, threatening? You've got that short, funny, teddy bear thing going on. Like, people adore you because you're safe." The laughter in the room died off almost instantly. Danny froze. He didn't move, didn't blink, just looked at her, hard. Even Whoopi's eyebrows lifted slightly, sensing the tension. Joy thought she was being playful, but the words landed wrong, too sharp, too careless. "Safe," Danny said after a beat, his voice calm but cutting. "You mean, harmless, like a pet?" A few chuckles broke from the audience, nervous ones this time, but Danny didn't join them. His posture straightened, and the twinkle in his eyes dimmed. Joy blinked, clearly thrown off by his reaction. No, I just meant, people love you because you don't take yourself seriously. You're relatable." Danny leaned forward, his voice low but full of quiet authority. "Joy, I've been hearing versions of that for 50 years. You're funny for your size. You're lovable because you're not intimidating. You know what that really means. It means people can't handle it when someone who doesn't fit their box still manages to succeed." The audience went silent. "I've spent my whole life being underestimated," he continued. "People look at me and see a joke before I even open my mouth. They expect me to be the clown, the punchline. And sure, I can be funny. But that doesn't make me less of an artist, less of a man." The energy on set shifted completely. Whoopi subtly motioned to the producers, who hovered just off camera, unsure whether to cut to commercial. But the control room stayed frozen. This was television gold, raw and real. Joy swallowed hard. "Danny, I didn't mean." "I know you didn't," he said, cutting her off gently. "That's the thing. Most people don't mean harm when they say stuff like that. But it still hits the same. It still tells people like me, you're not supposed to be taken seriously. And after 50 years, it gets old." Whoopi leaned forward slightly. "That's a fair point," she said quietly. A lot of people get reduced to an image before they get recognized for their work. Danny nodded. Exactly. I've played devils and angels, crooks and dreamers. I've directed movies, produced shows, helped new talent get their start. But all it takes is one joke about being short or adorable to remind me that, to some folks, I'm still just a novelty. He sat back, taking a breath. The audience remained utterly silent, hanging on every word. Then Danny let out a long exhale, his tone softening. Look, I'm not mad, Joy. I know your heart, but people need to remember, respect doesn't come in sizes. There was a long, heavy pause before the audience erupted into applause. It wasn't polite clapping, it was the kind of applause that carries weight, a sound that said they got it. The clip spread like wildfire. Within hours of the show's airing, Danny DeVito's fiery exchange with Joy Behar dominated every social media feed, news crawl, and entertainment blog headline. The moment, the exact second he leaned forward and said, "I'm not your mascot, Joy," was looping endlessly across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Each replay came with new captions. Danny DeVito destroys Joy Behar live. A lesson in respect. When humor meets reality. In the ABC newsroom, the producers of The View were in damage control mode. They huddled in the glass-walled conference room, laptops open, phones buzzing with notifications. Joy sat at the far end of the table, arms folded, her usual confidence replaced by irritation. The chatter in the room buzzed around her like flies. Okay, so we're already at 12 million views on the clip, one young producer reported, scrolling through her phone. The internet is not being kind. Half the comments are calling Joy insensitive. The other half are praising Danny for speaking truth to power. Joy scoffed, leaning back. Oh, please, people love a good villain. Give them one sharp comment and suddenly I'm Hollywood's new monster. Whoopi Goldberg, sitting beside her, gave her a side-eye over her glasses. You know it's not about being a villain, Joy. It's about perception. You didn't mean to offend him, but it landed that way. Joy let out an exasperated sigh. I was joking. It's what I do. He's been on before. We joke, we banter. The audience knows that. Yeah, Whoopi said calmly, but this time, the audience didn't laugh with you, they cringed. That silence that followed said it all. Meanwhile, across town in a quiet New York hotel suite, Danny DeVito sat on the couch in a rumpled shirt and socks, scrolling through his phone. The room was dim, lit only by the glow of the city filtering through the window and the blue light from his screen. His assistant, Lacey, hovered nearby, trying to read his expression. Danny, you've seen the headlines, right? She asked cautiously. He nodded. I've seen them. He scrolled past hundreds of comments. DeVito spoke nothing but truth. Joy needed that wake-up call. Hollywood has been condescending to him for decades, and he finally snapped. Lacey hesitated. They want you back on the show next week, to clear the air. Danny snorted. Of course they do. They smell ratings. They also said Joy might apologize publicly. He put the phone down, rubbing his temples. I don't need an apology. I just wanted her to think before she speaks. That's all. Lacey frowned. You sure you don't want to issue a statement? Something diplomatic. He looked up at her, his eyes still burning with that same spark that had shocked the world hours earlier. You ever notice that when someone gets real on TV, they call it an outburst? But when someone throws cheap shots for laughs, it's called personality. Nah, I'm not walking that back. For a while, he sat quietly, the sounds of the city filling the gaps between their words. He wasn't angry anymore, not really. It wasn't about Joy personally. It was about years of being typecast, laughed at, underestimated. The comment had just lit the fuse. Later that evening, Whoopi called him. He answered after the second ring. Hey, you troublemaker, she said, her voice carrying that mix of humor and warmth only she could manage. Danny chuckled. Hey, Whoopi, how's the fallout? Oh, the internet's on fire, honey. You're trending in more places than the election results. Fantastic, he said dryly. Just what every old actor dreams of. Whoopi laughed softly, then her tone softened. You know, I think you said what a lot of people needed to hear. Not just about size or Hollywood or anything like that, but about respect. Sometimes we forget that being funny doesn't mean you're not serious. Danny smiled faintly. Yeah, well, maybe I could have said it a little gentler. Maybe, but you said it real. That's better. When he hung up, he poured himself a small drink and turned on the TV. Every entertainment show was replaying the clip. Different pundits debated whether he had gone too far. But watching it back, Danny didn't see anger, he saw honesty. He'd spent his life laughing at himself so others wouldn't have to. For once, he dropped the act. The next morning, Joy Behar returned to the View looking uncharacteristically subdued. The studio was packed, everyone wanted to see how she'd address the elephant in the room.